It's got to be less than 5.
I say over.
Over 5?
Yeah.
Do you remember
how many Molina brothers are there?
There's 3 Molina brothers, and they played for all the long career. But do you remember Jose Molina? Like he could barely leg out a single to the warning track.
Like I said, a triple is just a double that an outfielder misplayed is.
You guys are live.
I feel like every week we start with something stupid, like total number of triples from the Molina brothers. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripes Show, streaming live on YouTube Thursday mornings. That's right now, 9 a.m. And also, obviously, on the regular podcast applications, as we have been, Scott, for 11 seasons. What's up?
What's up, man? Yeah, doing it again. This is amazing. We've been consistent at 9 a.m. on the dot for 4 weeks. Is that right? 4 weeks straight. It's pretty impressive.
What are you talking about? We didn't miss a week for 10 years.
I know, but the 9 a.m. live, like on the dot, you know, I thought we'd have more issues with this, but so far so good. Knock on wood.
Jinxing it.
No, I knocked on wood. It's fine.
Oh, do you remember the days when we were both working, we would record the podcast at like 6 a.m. to get it out that morning?
Yeah. Those are the good old days. I love recording early. I'll be up and record early as possible. But I don't think anybody else is up at 6 a.m. watching a live recording of two jackasses talking about the Yankees.
Well, it's not like 9 a.m. is the most primo of time slots for streaming.
It's better than 6 a.m.
I don't know. Our UK listeners, you know, we've got a big UK contingent. I'm sure they'd love 6 a.m.
That's true. That is true. No, but I'm happy that the Yankees finally took a game in Cleveland so that they didn't walk away with a sweep, although it would have hurt your narrative, but I'm sure you would have had something about that. But yes, they did. And in amazing fashion, we'll talk about this, but this man, Carlos Rodon, as soon as we started talking, it's not as soon as we started talking shit, because we've been talking shit for a while about him.
2+ seasons.
But I do feel like we laid into him quite a bit last Thursday, and right away this dude starts going and pitching, you know, to the ability that we've all hoped he'd pitch to. But thankfully the last two have been good.
Was it last week we were laying into him because of that start against San Francisco when he coughed up the go-ahead home run on just a terrible hanging curveball? That was why we were crushing.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. That Lee home run, the slot that he just placed that in on a tee. But yeah, that was it. And he was able to avoid those big mistakes via the home run ball specifically. He
then pitched the Friday game in Tampa. And the game didn't start well. If you remember, I think the first 2 guys got on and you're like, okay, here we go again. And he just sort of locked it down. And a similar thing happened in Wednesday's start against Cleveland, where he had the unearned run happen in the first inning. And Carlos Rodon would have melted every other start. Imploding. He would have melted down. Instead of giving up just the 1, would have given up 3 and huffed and puffed and been out of there in the 4th inning. And that didn't happen. I think the biggest thing for me, just eye test looking at him, has been fastball command. I don't know if the numbers prove that out, but when you look at just how he's attacking hitters, like yesterday, he had 90 pitches through 7 innings. That comes because he has fastball command and he can throw good quality strikes and get ahead of hitters. And you know what? I'm just going to do this now. Because
I was going to say, what do you mean? Does that mean he has count leverage?
Because this pissed me. You wouldn't imagine how much this pissed me off the other night. When in Warren's start, John Flaherty starts talking about count leverage. And I'm not blaming John Flaherty because he's just repeating what Aaron Boone and the analytics nerds are talking about. But he's like, well, Aaron Boone before the game talked about how the biggest thing for Warren is count leverage. And I'm like, count leverage? Do you just mean like getting ahead in the count? And then he goes, and all that means is getting ahead of the count. I'm like, yeah, why are you calling it count leverage like an absolute douchebag? Why do the nerd department and Aaron Boone feel the need to reinvent baseball? Getting ahead of the count has been a part of baseball since Abner Doubleday first drew out the plans for a baseball diamond, okay? Throwing strikes and get ahead of the hitter is not a novel concept, you nerds. Stop coming up with new terminology for it to make yourself sound smarter than you really are. It's getting ahead in the count and throwing good quality strikes. No shit, that's important, you jackasses.
Yeah, so Warren, let's touch on him after Rodon, because Rodon
did that not piss you off too? Isn't that just so annoying?
I'm so numb to it at this point. The new things that they're saying that are exactly just masks for something that's already been there.
The sweeper, count
this,
leverage.
I mean, this all started with the slurve. I feel like this started with the slurve. As soon as we went into the world of the slurve, combining pitches into one name, like J-Lo and whomever she's dating at that point, like putting them together. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. No, it doesn't bother me anymore because I'm just used to it. But yes, it is important. At the end of the day, the point stands. The point stands about getting ahead in the count. And if you can get ahead in the count and you have fastball command and you're able to have deception based off of that fastball command, and the batter has to respect that fastball because you're able to put it where you want it, then yes, your secondary pitches are going to work better. If you're able to throw out of that same arm slot, your changeup's going to work better. If you're able to, repeat those mechanics and work the inside of the plate and the outside of the plate against the batter, you're going to be a more effective pitcher. And that all starts with getting ahead in the count. Boone has talked about this on the other side about controlling the strike zone. It's the same damn thing. It's just doing it the opposite way. It's just the batter trying to dictate. Yes, the batter is dictating where you are in the count. So, we saw this with Will Warren as well. Will Warren looked very good. He looked like he had command of a major league pitcher. And when you have the command of a major league pitcher and you're able to paint the black with your off speed, and then you don't have an overpowering fastball, you have a 94 mile an hour fastball, but you can put it where you want it. Greg Maddux didn't have an overpowering fastball. A lot of the guys that were able to
compare anyone. Like
I'm just saying, when you have control, you don't need that top flight arsenal of you don't need that big fastball. You can mix up pitches and place it where you want, and that's called pitching. That is how you manipulate a batter, by changing their eye levels, by making them think you're going to do something that you're not going to do, and if you're able to do that on a more consistent basis. And that's why I was so I was so encouraged by looking at what Rodon has done over the last two starts. And I know the numbers aren't all that crazy different with his numbers, but Rodon in Tampa, 36% sliders, 35% four seamers, 14% changeups, 8% curveball, 7% sinker. That's a good mix of pitches from a guy that's a fastball slider guy that legitimately threw two pitches for a very long time. If you're able to locate that fastball and get ahead in the count, now you have four other pitches that you're able to throw at a decently high clip to change what the batter is thinking and to give them something extra to think about. That's great. That makes you a more effective pitcher in the long run, in my opinion.
Of course, the pitch mix is good, but it's, in my opinion, really, he was working off of the fastball. So if you're mainly, he's still mainly throwing fastball slider. That's 70% of his pitches were either a fastball or slider. But when the fastball is good quality strike, you can work off the slider, and hitters are going to have to respect that this could be a fastball in the strike zone. I'm going to need to swing at it, and then the slider drops out. Previously, his fastball, I just felt he was there chucking it as hard as he could, hoping it would be a quality strike. And it would either be middle and get hit, or it would be out of the strike zone so far that a hitter didn't even have to respect it. And then that's when, if you're really only a 2.5 pitch pitcher, which is still what I think Carlos Rodon is, you're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. But this resurgence, if we're calling it a resurgence, just look at like the starts that Fried has given you. We're going to talk about Fried and his no-hit bid, and Rodon the last two starts couldn't have come at a better time because the rotation has been so unbelievably bad outside of Fried prior to the last two Rodon starts. You've got Schmidt working his way back into the rotation. He had an okay first start, a terrible second start. Warren has been like a seesaw, good start, bad start, good start, bad start. And so you need your big money pitchers, Fried and Rodon. You're spending between the two of them $60 million pretty much on just the two of those. You need those two guys to be a number one and a number 1A.
Yeah. And, I think one of the big things for Rodon too is that, he needs to, along with getting ahead in the count, he needs to show the deception on from the fastball, from the slider. I think the curveball gives him the off speed, variance with the slider, and then the two other pitches that he's throwing he's throwing the changeup at like 15%. I think if he's able to locate that changeup, then he becomes a different guy, because changeup and even the sinker is essentially coming out like a fastball. He's got two pitches that he's working directly off of the fastball that look the same coming out of the hand. Spin is relatively the same as well. He's just changing the grip a bit. I think if he's able to get those two pitches, I think those are very important secondary pitches, because that makes his fastball that much more effective. And the locating the fastball gives him the ability in another direction to not have to be so perfect with that slider. And I think that's where he gets in trouble. The slider and the curveball. If he's trying to be too perfect and locate it exactly where he needs to, he tends to spin it a little much and leave it up in the zone. And you don't have to do that when you're ahead in the count. You can live down in the zone and get those ground balls, because he's getting a lot of ground balls as well. He's just unfortunately giving up home runs in not great spots, but he's been getting the ground ball. His ground ball percentage is actually pretty good. So yeah, I think it's important for him to not only be able to locate that fastball, but also to be able to throw and just consistently go to those secondary pitches that look out of the hand like the fastball and like the slider.
Yeah, and we are calling Wednesday's win in Cleveland behind Rodon the Game Time Game of the Week, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and the lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Our listeners can get $20 off their first purchase when you download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Bronx at checkout. That start was so important on Wednesday in Cleveland because, like you said, they could have been swept. He didn't let the first inning meltdown get to him. Or he didn't let the first inning unearned run cause a meltdown. And then combine that with Judge now hitting 415. We are approaching May. He's hitting 415. I know the power has slowed down. We just looked, and the last home run came 8 days ago against Kansas City. But every night it seems like he's going 2 or 3 hits with a double mixed in there. He just missed a home run off the wall in Cleveland yesterday. He barely, was the home run fair or foul in Tampa? Who the hell knows?
Fair. It was fair.
It's not like his power is gone and he's only slapping singles to right field. He's hitting 415. His OPS is over 1,200. It's ridiculous.
The guy's you can't throw him a strike. Like, at the end of the day, that's what we're looking at. He's got so much plate coverage. You like that one? He's got so much plate coverage that if you're anywhere near the strike zone, he's gonna hit the ball. He's so incredibly balanced that he's able to do whatever he wants to do. And if a pitcher is trying to get him out on the outside of the plate, he can do that and go the other way. If he's trying to get jammed on the inside and keep the ball down so it's not in his power stroke, he can handle that and turn it and hit a double down the left field line or a single in the hole. He's just able to cover any pitch at this point, and he's been locked in like I've never seen a guy. And I know. We're approaching this man being one of the greatest regular season offensive players in the history of baseball. Like, it's not even, I know, but it's not.
It doesn't sound nice though. When you add the regular season,
well, I have caveat, to say that.
When you add the regular season caveat in there, you're like, ew.
Some guys who have amazing regular seasons over a long period of time don't have the fortune of getting to the postseason to see what they can do.
Judge has been so good that when he struck out on Monday to end the game, I was fully expecting him to tie that game with a home run, or at least extend the inning, because that's how good he's been. When you're hitting over 400 deep into the month, and it's not like he's only going 1 for 1 every night because they're walking him 3 times, which, by the way, I don't know why pitchers are not just intentionally walking him at this point. Who's the protection behind him? It doesn't exist. Jazz has been terrible. Volpe's been absolutely non-existent. There's been no consistency. Goldschmidt is hitting, but sometimes he's hitting first, sometimes he's hitting fourth. Like, Goldschmidt's just floating around the lineup. Rice has been really good. He was out for a couple days. There's not real protection around.
I think, again, like the protection that I've mentioned this in the past, I think the protection right now is coming from in front of him. So whoever they're putting in that leadoff spot, Goldschmidt, Rice, whoever it is, been very good.
The Yankees have been a 3-hitter offense. It's 6 out of the 9 have been pretty bad.
So when you're looking at that, getting on in front of him is for him to not walk is almost more important than having protection behind him. because now you're putting two guys on, and it could be a different inning. But people are going to start rethinking that if you're not getting that protection on the other side.
It's been a long time, obviously, since we've seen a 400 hitter. Whatever season in the 40s that Ted Williams hit 406, I think it was. It's been a long time. Guys have flirted with it. Tony Gwynn hit 390 something, I think, in the 90s. That might have been the strike shortened season. So maybe he could have bumped his average up if that season continued. We've seen other guys hit in the 360s, 370s. Joe Mauer, I think, hit 370 in his Triple Crown season. It's a long way to go. It's not even May yet, but I'm very excited to see where this batting average can go.
I'm excited to see where it can go, and I'm excited to see what the final outcome of a season is now that Judge actually is putting up an April that has really good numbers, because last year he lost a month essentially for not coming out of the gate hot and still put up insane numbers. So, the way baseball trends is that he's going to have a longer period of time where those numbers aren't that way, but maybe not, because as you're getting into the summer, like that's when the ball starts flying out more. That's when usually batters are starting to feel themselves more. And Judge is just a different animal, man. Like the way that he's physically built and how he's in shape, and like the again, plate coverage, like the guy doesn't give strikes away very easily. He's a very difficult person to attack.
So I mentioned game time. The game of the week was Wednesday. The baseball regular season is fully underway. That means you're going to need to be getting tickets. Look no further than the Game Time app. I've used Game Time so many times and I absolutely love it. The app is so streamlined. I also especially appreciate the all-in pricing feature, because I hate getting to the checkout screen on any application or anything that I'm buying and then seeing the total price being more than what I thought it was going to be. With Game Time, they can show you what it's going to be after all taxes and fees, and that is just a really nice thing. The app has so many great features, also including the last-minute deals, which are great if you have flexibility to purchase the day of or the day before. There's also their lowest price guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less money, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, create an account and redeem code BRONX for $20 off. We're also brought to you today by LinkedIn. Yes, you've probably heard of LinkedIn. If you're a small business owner, you don't have the luxury of clocking out early because your business is on your mind 24/7, 365. And if you're hiring, you need a partner that grinds just as hard as you do, and that hiring partner should be LinkedIn Jobs. Here's how it works. You post your job. LinkedIn's new feature can help you write the job descriptions and quickly get your job in front of the right people. You can either post it for free or pay to promote it, but promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified applications. Get qualified candidates. This is obviously the most important thing at the end of the day. Based on LinkedIn data, 72% of small businesses using LinkedIn say that it helps them find high quality candidates. And then share with your network. Let your network know that you're hiring. You can add the hiring frame to your profile picture to get even more qualified candidates. One of the first things that I'm sure everyone does if they are hiring or evaluating new candidates is they go to their LinkedIn profile to check out their background. With LinkedIn Jobs, it's all in one place. So you know the candidates that you are reviewing are already qualified based on their background, which just speeds up the whole process. And time is money, so that is very important. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Bronx, linkedin.com/Bronx to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you very much to both LinkedIn and Game Time today. Last thing I want to talk about with Judge. So he broke the Maris home run thing a couple years ago. Would you rather see him flirt with Barry Bonds' 72 home runs or flirt with a 400 batting average season?
400, it's not close.
It's not close.
I don't think it's close, no, because I mean, at the end of the day, we know what the Bonds record is. And
we also know Judge can hit dingers. Hitting 400 is
hitting 400 is a different animal. If Judge were to hit, and such a long way to go. This is so premature, but
all right. Well,
at the same time,
we're
he's
doing a podcast today, so let's.
If he is able to do that, it shows something that nobody has been able to show in the history of baseball. someone who can hit like that high of an average,
80 years,
be able to do that, but also hit the home run ball.
No, Ted Williams
at the same pace.
Ted Williams hit for power.
Did he hit 60 home runs?
I don't know how many Logan, look at how many home runs Ted Williams hit in that 400 season. He hit 500 career home runs. I mean, it's not like he was a slap hitter.
I understand that, but in today's era of baseball as well, the amount of specialty guys. I mean, if Aaron Judge is going up against the same pitcher for 8 innings every single night, he's gonna have 90 home runs.
And then that's also why no one's gonna break Joe DiMaggio's 56 game hitting streak. Correct. DiMaggio went 4 at bats versus the starter every single night, and if he was 0 for 3, he was gonna get him in the 4th at bat.
Correct. So you, as we've said a billion times, you got to take every era kind of standalone, because things are just different. But I think it's the most impressive. If you were to do that, it would be the most impressive feat in sports, I would say.
He hit 37 home runs the year he hit 406. Didn't even win the MVP that year.
But I think still at that time you couldn't win MVP twice. I think there was still that dumbass rule. Maybe it was a race by then.
Point. He never
won it. Okay, never
won it the first time.
Well, because that was the same year DiMaggio hit 56 games.
1941.
Yes, 41 was the same year. I think I did a history episode about this.
Yes, it was. He hit.
Yeah. So imagine
that's some bad luck right there.
Williams' season was just better.
It was just better. But people, first of all, the Yankees won the World Series and they won the pennant. I don't know what the Red Sox record was. I don't think they were a great team. But I think people looked at the 56 games and at the time, because think about it, in 1941, it wasn't crazy long ago that batting averages were still super high in like the pre-1920s era. Now, if someone, to Scott's point, hit 400, you're like, okay, the average batting average in the league is like 240, and now some guy is almost doubling that. Like, that is insane.
And hitting 60 home runs, looking to almost double what Williams did in that year.
Yeah, and so, but it's just funny to think that in the same year, someone hit 56 games and hit 406. Yeah, I agree. I think it would make batting average sexy again, which is fun. I just want to see it put nerds in a pretzel with like batting average doesn't matter. Oh no, he's hitting 400. What do I do? Just be fun.
Batting average has always been a litmus test of what a guy does. So it still is. I think it always will be. And the best part about that is that the players care about batting average, and they always have, and they always will.
Yeah, because it's a mark of, are you doing your job or not?
Yeah,
it's very. Oh, I went 2 for 4 tonight. That's good. That's job.
Good.
I went 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. Anthony Volpe. That's bad. Speaking of batting average,
maybe the torpedo bats don't work, because if you're looking at who the people were that were focused on after that Milwaukee series, it was Austin Wells, Jazz Chisholm, Anthony Volpe with the torpedo bat. And those are 3 guys that are not hitting on this team.
3 worst hitters in the lineup. Volpe especially, his batting average is now 198. His OPS, which a week ago was still like north of 800, is now sub 700. I think it's 680. He went 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts on Wednesday. He looked completely overmatched in that at-bat late in Tuesday's game against Gaddis, where he couldn't catch up to a fastball and then was just, I'm in swing mode, and swung at a slider 2.5 feet out of the strike zone. It was an embarrassingly bad at-bat. And the thing with Volpe is he needs to be benched right now. I'm not saying he needs to be sent down to the minors. I'm not saying you need to bench him for good. He needs to sit down for a couple days, but he can't because they don't have someone else on this roster who can play shortstop. This is a failure.
Peraza can play.
Okay, well, then why aren't they doing it?
I mean, that's the thing. Look, I've been a supporter of this guy and waiting for him to turn the corner, but again, he's going into this extended streak of I don't know how to play baseball on the offensive side. It's not working. When you're looking at him, and what is he at, a 30% clip now?
Over 30. I think it's 30, like north of 30%, 30 point something percent. You tolerate 30% strikeout from a guy who hits 35 home runs, not a guy who's going to hit 6 or 7 home runs.
That guy can't be striking out at 30% clip. And again, I don't understand it. When I look at his swing and the fact that he swings through those fastballs, It just doesn't make a lot of sense for me. I don't understand how you get to this point and you can't hit a fastball. If you're a Major League Baseball player and you can't hit a fastball, that's a really big problem, because that's exactly what they're throwing him. They're just exposing him a little bit up in the zone. And then, yes, even you listen to Todd Frazier was talking about this. And Todd Frazier says a lot of things that everybody's thinking when on the broadcast. And I think he's just the everyman, which, okay, I appreciate. He makes
just
me
a
feel,
bro, just a Yankees fan from Tom's River.
And, you know, there's a place for that on some broadcasts. But one of the things that he was talking about was that Volpe's got to cheat out in front to time this fastball, because clearly his timing is not there. But
then
when you're doing that,
completely embarrassed on a slider.
When you're doing that and you're looking at, you know, the pitcher's now making that adjustment, he's going to get exposed on something that looks like a fastball that is not a fastball. And so he's in a predicament here. You can either gear yourself up to the fastball that everybody is throwing you because they don't believe you can hit it, or you stay with the approach and stay back and stay patient and try to work the count as much as you can. But they're not scared of him at all. They're just going up there, throwing their fastball over the plate, understanding that this guy is either going to miss it or get a ground ball somewhere. He's not going to make good contact. And that's a problem. So I don't know with the bat, maybe there's a reason why these torpedo bats haven't been a thing. And, you know, however many
he was
years
using a regular bat last year and he couldn't hit either. So I don't know. I think the torpedo bat at the beginning of the season, we were all hopeful was going to be the solve for him. But the Yankees talking about how, he hit too many balls on the label last year and this is going to fix that. Well, you got to make contact in order to have the torpedo bat work. And he's still striking out 30%, which is unacceptable. That at bat against Gaddis, though, like Gaddis is a great pitcher. I'm not taking anything away from Gaddis. It's not like he's throwing 101 mile an hour fastball. Okay. He was throwing 94, 95 miles an hour. I'm sure it's got good life and everything. Obviously it does. He's a great pitcher.
I keep saying great.
He's a great relief pitcher. Gaddis is a great relief pitcher. Good, whatever. Okay, my point is, you should be able to catch up to a 95 mile an hour fastball. Volpe.
You should be able to catch up to a 95 mile an hour fastball. You're a professional,
especially when you're sitting on a 95 mile an hour fastball.
And if you have put in the work over the offseason and tried to change your swing to make it more flat, to make more contact, the fastball goes straight. It's the straightest pitch you can see. So if you're not able to hit that fastball because your timing is off, that's a really big problem. And I don't understand it, because when you look at his mechanics and you look at his swing, the's no reason he shouldn't be hitting his fastball.
But his swing gets so long when he's in these bad slumps.
He's just happy. He's swing happy, and I think that's the problem. I think his timing is also just off. He's not timing the fastball.
Well, it's egregious that he's still batting 5th or 6th in the lineup, because I don't know how he hasn't been, first of all, moved down to the 8th or 9th spot at this point. The fact that they still have Jazz and Volpe and then sometimes Wells as a consecutive trio in the lineup, it's just been a complete nothing. That's a whole inning of nothing. And so many times in the Cleveland series, Volpe came up with men on base, grounded into a double play, struck out against Gaddis, left runners on base in the first inning in both of 2 of the 3 games where he struck out. Bellinger's not been good either. Bellinger keeps batting 3rd or 4th as well. But
you have to put him there because of one, who he is, and the positive.
Well, you don't have to do that with Volpe. I think I would bench Volpe for 2 or 3 games right now. He needs to just sit. He needs to just have a reset, because the reality is Volpe needs to be a good shortstop. That's the corner they have painted themselves in with this roster and with Anthony Volpe specifically. You have invested way too much time, way too many resources into having him be a quality major league shortstop, not just defensively. I don't give a shit, Frank, I know you're listening. I don't give a shit, Frank, that his defensive WAR is 2.5 or 4.5 or whatever it is. If he is a complete 0 at the plate, that is not acceptable.
It's the strikeouts, man. The strikeouts are an unacceptable piece of his game. He can't be striking out the way he is. He's not a big power guy that is going to come out here and hit 30 home runs. And if he's trying to do that, then he's in the wrong game, because that's not what his style needs to be. He needs to be a doubles hitter. He needs to hit for average. He needs to get on base. He needs to steal bases. He needs to be that guy. And if he's not that guy, I don't know what he can be, because he's not a power guy. So if you aren't able to be able to put the ball in play, hit the gaps, be able to spray the ball around and have the ability to make contact with a goddamn fastball, then you cannot be a major league hitter. Like, it's plain and simple. You're going out there playing shortstop. You're right. You're right. And I've been defending him for however long because I'm waiting for him to turn the corner because there's just no real good reason for me to see this guy not being able to hit a ball consistently, a fastball, but he's not doing it. So at the end of the day, I think he deserves to be benched right now. He does. He does. And put Peraza out there, and Peraza can glove.
Uh-oh. Scott just cut out. We're getting him back.
Why does that keep happening?
You're in the mini box now.
So when you're Peraza and you can glove the ball and he's hitting the minor leagues as well, there's no reason for you're not losing anything. You're not losing anything by putting him into the lineup at this point. And I agree. Competition right now, there's no reason to be saying when you have those two guys on the roster. And the funny thing is that Peraza was the guy that Volpe basically took the spot. Like, he won the spot. The Yankees anointed him as the guy, but Peraza's still there. He's still there. So
do you think maybe
light
that's
a
why
fire
they're
under someone's ass?
Do you think maybe they think the best way to handle Volpe is to treat him with kids' gloves and not put pressure on him and say, oh, now Peraza is taking your spot, even though it could just be a 2-day thing. But they think that could actually make Volpe spiral worse if he thinks he's losing his job.
Worse. When you strike out 30%, you can't spiral worse if you're Anthony Volpe. I'm sorry.
Let me
that's
ask
as bad as it gets.
I want to ask you, so Volpe
I think you'd absolutely play Peraza. And if he can't handle the fact that he was benched for performance reasons, which is the reason to get benched, then you're not a major league hitter. You're not a major league player.
Volpe was a top 25 Major League Baseball prospect at some point, right? Like, he was in the top 25 ranked, I think, all of Major League Baseball. Say he was not that. I'm not saying he was a nobody, but say he was outside the top 100 or even near the top 100. Do you think he would be getting the leash he's gotten? Like, do you think fans, or do you think the organization would at this point been like, we've got to try something different here? I know he was a highly touted prospect, but he
was also a number one draft pick. Like, the guy came up.
I know,
he skipped college. I
don't see another reason why he still is playing every single day. And they're treating him like this is Derek Jeter going through a slump and he's going to get through it.
Because they believe that he's able, they must believe that he's able to
based on what? Based on what? Based on minor league games? Because we have seen nothing outside of like random sprinkles in the major leagues that he can hit at the major league level.
And that's the thing. I think when you see these long streaks of sustained, highly productive offensive numbers, and then all of a sudden he disappears, it's mind-boggling.
What are you talking about? Sustained? You're the longest
sustained over like 15 games. Yeah, I know, but for 15 games, he looked like one of the best shortstops out there. So how does that just completely go away?
15 games. You're acting like 15 games is 150 games. Like 15 games is nothing.
I'm just wondering how you can do that for 15 games and then go to nothing.
But we've seen random ass baseball players have a good streak and then disappear.
And that's the thing. He's not a random ass baseball player in there because of the pedigree, because he's a first round pick, because he came up and there is that leash.
That's my point.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I think there's a leash because of who he is and where he got drafted,
because of
his hype that has been behind him. No doubt about it.
That's the only reason. That's the only reason.
I mean, I agree that there's a leash. However, I think that they are, and I use this word very loosely, content with 700 OPS and Gold Glove defense. I think that's good enough. They think that the defense is prioritized and the bat is secondary. Why they keep hitting him so high in the lineup, I don't know. He should be in the lower third of the lineup, and they want him to just do what he does, whatever it is, on offense and be a Gold Glove defender.
Well,
because
here's the problem.
Peraza came up as a better defender. Peraza was actually the defender that they looked at as being the better shortstop. And when you're looking at Volpe, when he was coming up as a prospect, is his arm good enough? Does he have the defense that can play here? Can he play shortstop, or is he a second baseman? Nobody was concerned about the offense. Nobody. And Peraza was the complete opposite. Peraza was the plus defender, the better shortstop coming up defensively. And everybody was wondering about his bat. And they've they've flipped course here. And not to say
Peraza has no bat.
Not to say he's been an offensive bat, but you give him sustained time. Could he
Maybe
be?
He could be a 660 OPS. Here's the problem, Logan. You say they're content with a 700 OPS. He's a career 660 OPS hitter, and he's have a 680 OPS right now. Okay, I haven't seen 700.
Yeah. And Peraza, giving him some time, who knows what he could be offensively. He did put up numbers that were better in AAA. So,
and that's putting aside the fact that Gold Glove defense and a 700 OPS is not good enough out of your first round draft pick, highly touted top 25 Major League Baseball prospect, untouchable prospect that you would not trade for an ace pitcher to Cincinnati. Gold Glove defense and 700 OPS is not good enough. You can find other Gold Glove defense.
Yes, you can. On the waiver wire. You can find that in free agency.
You can sign Hechavarria or Brendan Ryan for $1.5 million if you just want Gold Glove defense at shortstop.
Yeah.
So it's not good enough. He needs to be a positive offensive player with the Gold Glove defense. That's what he needs to be. Because also, if you look at this roster, you've got Aaron Judge, who is in the primiest of primes. Okay. In 3 years from now, I love Aaron Judge, and I hope he's still a beast, but he's not going to be in his prime anymore. If Anthony Volpe does not materialize into a star, who is this team going to be built around? That person's not on the roster. Is that person? Maybe it's Jason Dominguez, although I think Jason Dominguez has been just okay so far this year. He's had some nice at-bats. I don't think he's a right-handed hitter, even though he had that big hit last week from the right-handed side. If you were to tell me in 2 years from now, Jason Dominguez is only hitting left-handed, I would believe it. So is it Jason Dominguez you're building around? Maybe. I could 25% chance that happens.
Yeah.
Like if it's not Anthony Volpe, I don't know who it's going to be. That person's not on the roster right now.
Well, Rob in the chat says it's Ben Rice because Ben Rice has been hitting very well.
Well, Ben Rice, is he going to be a DH? Is he going to play first base after Goldschmidt is out of here next year? Yeah, Ben Rice has been unbelievable. I want to believe that Ben Rice can sustain this. And we were talking to Neil in the chat, and I was like, I still don't understand how Ben Rice was in Double-A at 25 years old. And he pointed out the fact that he was impacted by the COVID shortened seasons. He was signed. He was also similar to Judge, where he played in college. Aaron Judge was in the major leagues at 25 years old. Ben Rice was in Double-A at 25 years old. There's a difference.
How old is he right now, Ben Rice?
He's plus 2 years from 25. He was in Double-A. He was in Double-A last year, so he must be 26 years old now.
Yeah, he's 26.
It's not that different.
So my point is, I was just like, where did Ben Rice come from? That's like. I was loving what I was seeing, but a little nagging thing in my mind was like, but he was in Double-A last year. Like, is this real? Is this real? I still don't know. But the fact that he was bouncing around, he was in the Cape Cod League. He had shortened minor league seasons because of COVID. That's why his development was delayed. I buy all that. I hope Ben Rice can sustain something close to this. That's unbelievable. And he could be your first baseman. He could be the Greg Bird that never was.
Yeah, he could be. And I hope that he is, but he's also not a guy that you're building around right now. He's a good player that is something that you're looking at as a good complementary piece. But he's not a build around guy. I'm encouraged by Dominguez. I think he's just continuing. I think he's getting better, more comfortable. He's starting to run more, which I appreciate. I mean, they're talking about him. I've said this, and I think someone else has said this too. He's got faster straight line speed even than Bobby Witt Jr., who had the fastest. Like, the guy is an absolute animal of an athlete. So I'm excited to watch him progress.
I am too. I'm not crushing Jason Dominguez. He has not looked overmatched. He's looked a little overmatched from the right-handed side. That could get better. Or maybe if he just focuses on being a left-handed hitter, maybe that simplifies things, right? Like, switch hitters are great if you can hit from both sides. If you're a nothing from one side of the plate, what's the point? Just focus on one side.
Well, if he wasn't hitting from that side, then he wouldn't have had that big hit to,
That's right.
So moment.
Continuing on the Volpe thing, so the Yankees are content with Gold Glove defense. If you're content with that, I'm sorry, he needs to make that play on Tuesday on that humpback line drive. I know Boone called it a quote impossible play. That's not an impossible play. That needs to be made if you're just a defensive Gold Glove shortstop, and that's what your value is.
Yeah, it's a tough play, ranging across the middle with the ball. It was
Not
like
ranging. He was positioned up the middle.
It was like an in-between hop. It was a weird ball. I agree. It's a difficult play, but it's a play that he should make. Absolutely. I agree with that. That inning was self-inflicted. They should have been out of that inning, and should have, won that game probably. But yes, that's a play that if your guy is striking out a 30% clip, needs to make up the middle. Yes.
So Tuesday's loss, I thought, was like a tour de force of Yankees breakdowns. Bad managerial decisions. I get that Warren had retired 10 or 11 in a row. He was about to face the top of the order for a third time. He had been up and down in every start, bad start, good start, bad start, good start in his short major league career. You had a fully rested bullpen. I do not agree bringing him back out for the sixth inning there. The reality is, the first sign of trouble, they were yanking him anyway. No more of these stealing outs, Aaron Boone. How many times do we have to go through this? You have a fully rested bullpen. Just go to the bullpen in that situation.
Yeah, it's a fair criticism, especially with a guy that you're trying to just build the confidence in. I think he had a really good start with he looked different. He looked like he was controlling all of his pitches a lot better. And there was bite on his breaking stuff too. He looked really good.
He looked really good.
And then when you lose command, and you're right, they were the first sign of trouble, they were going to pull him anyway.
So what's the point?
You might as well just give a clean inning to someone and have them get out there.
Because it's the top of the order. First sign of trouble, that means one guy gets on and the tying run is coming up, and you've got Jose Ramirez sitting there batting third. I know Jose Ramirez didn't get a hit in that inning, but like, why are you going to put yourselves in a position where we're bringing in Mark Leiter Jr. to face Jose Ramirez as the tying run? How is that a good situation?
How nice would it be to have Jose Ramirez on this team, just manning third base? I mean, unbelievable.
I didn't realize it until they were talking about this on one of the broadcasts, but he ranks like second in all American League categories behind Judge offensively. Like, I knew he was good, but I didn't realize he was that good.
He's been a quiet, like, top of the leaderboard in every category for a long time. You just don't hear about him as much. He does all the things.
I love
him as a player.
If I want
Jason Dominguez to turn into that type of guy. He's got the same type of build,
squatty body. How much would you love just plopping Jose Ramirez at third base and Steven Kwan on this roster?
Yeah, that's Steven Kwan, who doesn't strike out, who does all the little things defensively the right way. Yeah, they're nice players. It's amazing that you're trying to take players from the AL Central though and put them on your team to make it better.
The AL Central is a joke, but they have some good players. They have some good players. All right, so bad managerial decisions, definitely. Bad defense, we mentioned Volpe. Jazz made a lazy play early in that game where he just, like, on his heels tossed the ball over to first base. Like, what are you doing, Glaber? Jazz, what are you doing in that situation?
Yeah, he made the
throw.
He made the play to scoop that ball or to get that ball. It was again one of those hard hit, tough hops. He made the play and then just unfortunately just didn't follow through with the throw. And Goldschmidt, who's very good at picking those balls, couldn't pick that ball.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying Goldschmidt wasn't prepared for a dirt missile from 35 feet away? Like, no shit.
Yeah. And so, yes, he obviously has to make that play. And again, when your guys up the middle who are supposed to be the best tandem second base shortstop in the history of baseball are both hitting sub 200, which is, aforementioned, it used to be called the Mendoza line.
If you add
make defensive plays,
if you add Anthony Volpe and Jazz Chisholm's batting averages together, they don't equal Aaron Judge's batting average.
Yeah, that's a tough one. He's also batting 400. So
okay, but still,
it's bad. No, the fact that, and look, Jazz is the opposite of Volpe, whereas Jazz will strike out more, but he's got to have that production that comes because that's the type of player that he is. Whereas, so you can look at his strikeouts and be okay with them a little bit.
What's his strikeout rate, Logan? What's Chisholm's strikeout rate right now? It's got to be over 30%. It was 38% last week. It's not like he's striking out less.
They're getting close to each other. Totally different swings too.
Jazz, I could see hitting 25 home runs though. And so, like, listen, I still think that's way too many strikeouts for Jazz Chisholm, but he will have some power. I don't love his approach at the plate, but at least he has some power. If Volpe doesn't have power and he's striking out 30% of the time.
Jazz is at 30.8% this season.
Oh, so it's come down.
honestly, that is like right in line with what his career is outside of last year.
But when we talked about this recently, he was leading the league, I believe, in strikeouts. So it came down.
Yeah.
He's at a 165 average.
He's been walking more recently, so hopefully he's able
165 average.
Yeah,
and then what is Wells' batting average is also like 200 or less.
It's like, sub 200.
Yeah, I think it's sub 200 too. I'll get you that.
Torpedo bats. Put them in the trash.
181. And he's got a 24.4%.
You got 160 out of Jazz, 180 out of Wells, and 198 right now out of Volpe.
What'd you say Wells' strikeout percentage is?
24.4.
All right.
That's great. For a guy like Wells, who should be hitting for some power as well. It's not great when you're hitting 160, but
he's also a guy that can get on base a lot too.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know what does that compare to his career, because he's such a long career that we're looking at the averages. But I expect him to be
probably around there
out more.
It's actually up a little bit. Last year he was at 21.
I would think he's closer to 20. Yeah.
What was Volpe's strikeout percentage in his career? It's got to be around 20%, right? 20 to 20. I mean, realistically, Volpe should be striking out like 18% of the time.
Volpe should be a sub 20% guy. Absolutely should be a
sub 20% Volpe last year was at 22.6.
And there was room for improvement.
Yeah, and the year before that he was at 27.8.
He should be
you need to see that trending down further. So it trended down last year, but the fact that it's up
like
right
19
now,
and a half.
He needs to be a sub 20 guy.
Yep. He needs to be striking out 18% of the time with a 275 batting average and 35 doubles. Like, that's the hitter he needs to be. And if he's not, I don't know what he's going to be at the major.
And if he's batting in the 6-7 spot, he needs to steal 40 bags too.
And so you also had the pass ball by Escara, which he
it was a cross up. It was a very big
bad all around
missed location on Leiter's part. If you look where he was set up.
But you saw what
real quick, when you look where he was set up on the outside of it was the inside, and then he had to reach all the way across. That is what you're giving up as when you're on one knee. When you're on one knee and you're trying to frame a ball down there, you can't move laterally as well as you would if you were on squatted down and be able to shift your body left and right. That is something that you give up, and they know that you're giving that up. If there's a mislocation like that, you just can't react fast enough, and it's a difficult play, and you have to try to glove it.
But that situation, the runners were going, so he was popping up to throw.
Yes.
And that was the issue. But that's the pressure.
He also missed the location.
He did.
In a big way.
That's also the pressure Cleveland put on when they got runners on base. They sent the runners. When the Yankees got runners on base, they sat there and let Volpe ground into a double play. They didn't try and bunt. They didn't try and move runners. They just sat there and like, Volpe, do your thing. Ground ball to shortstop.
Yeah, let's bring bunting into Volpe's game,
Volpe,
do that.
If Volpe is not a great bunter, what are you doing?
I got to believe the torpedo bat and bunting don't mix.
Probably not. And then, just like I said, bad offensive execution. And I just think the lineup, we talked about it, but just too many holes in that lineup. So it was a really bad loss on Tuesday. Monday's game against Cleveland, they just got blown out. I know the score ended up being close because they got the late home run by Jazz, but Schmidt looked bad. He looked like 2023 Schmidt, where he couldn't get left-handers out, give up the back-to-back home runs to Ramirez and Manzardo, both left-handed hitters, but he just looked like he was getting eaten up by lefties.
Yeah. And again, like I'm not worried about Clark Schmidt right now with the stuff that he's putting out there and the tape that we're seeing, because I just still think he needs to get into the season as he gets. If we're still having problems with him not being able to get lefties out in a month, then that's something I'm concerned about.
It's his second start.
Real quick on the lineup before we totally move past it, Gregory Wayne in the comments said something that I wanted to touch on quickly. Jazz 8, Volpe 9 in the batting order. If they can figure out and get on base as table setters for the top of the order, could produce major runs. Yes, in theory, yes. The problem is that if Volpe were 9, and I think again, like I like Volpe in the 9 spot because he's got the leadoff and then Judge looming in the on deck and in the hole, and he's going to get strikes and he's going to get fastballs. But he can't hit a fastball. So until Anthony Volpe can hit a fastball that's over the plate, he's not doing any table setting. He's not going to be a table setter. He's not going to work a walk because he's getting strikes and they're fastballs over the plate. And that's the problem, If this man can't hit a fastball over the plate, I don't know what you do. Really, like that's a minimum as a major league hitter, especially the type of hitter that he is. So in theory, putting him in that 9 spot, I agree. I think it'll set him up for getting, good looks at pitches. But right now he is, and guys are attacking him because they believe that he is overmatched by a fastball. And that's a problem.
I think you sit him the next 2 days and then have him start the Sunday afternoon game at home against Toronto and just hope that a 48-hour mental, I guess it would be 3 days because they're not playing today. You hope a 3-day mental break can help him get over some stuff.
And that would absolutely work because every time coming into a season, he's always hot. The playoffs, he was hot. Every time he has a little bit of rest. Remember, I think they did this at one point in one of the first 2 seasons that he was playing.
When he
they
came
gave him
out
a day or 2 off.
When he came out of the All-Star break last year, he was hot.
Right. They've done that before. They give him a day or 2 off, and it's like a body reset. And it's like, I mean, I know he's young, but like, and it shouldn't be fatigue, but like, how much does it like? Is it like mental fatigue? I don't know.
Well, I think with baseball, you can spiral. You go up there and you strike out 4 times, like you're feeling awful about yourself. You're not in the right headspace mechanically. You're like, what's off mechanically? And then you just you're done. You're toast.
That's the feeling I'm getting from Volpe is that he's an overthinker, and that when he's up, he's his brain's just going too much. I think they need to calm that down. They need to just, because again, like fundamentally, when you're looking at him, he should be, there's no reason why he shouldn't be hitting a fastball, the other way. Just use right field and pepper it for fastball. You don't even have to be able to catch up to the fastball. Just be flat in the zone and pepper that damn ball, and your timing, doesn't even matter as much. But he can't do that. He's swinging under the ball. He's a mess. And I think a lot of it is him just mentally going over. You hear the guys talk about Volpe and how he's the most competitive guy in the team. He wants to be, and he's working his ass off. I believe all of that. I believe that he wants to do well. It's a matter of finding what that thing is that makes him click. And again, he's done it in short stints, like high impact short stints. But you can't solve it for the long period of time. And I do think some of it's overthinking and it's in the mentals. It's a different type of Carlos Rodon mental thing. You need a different doctor for this guy, but
if he did it, he wasn't, it's not like he was unbelievable in the postseason run, but he was a positive offensive player. And if you could do that in the postseason, you should be able to do that in the regular season.
Yeah, and what happens
it's the other way around.
What happens in like high pressure situations mentally for a person, like any person? You tend to hyper focus on the situation, right? And like be, rather than like how your hands are gonna be, or where your foot is, or the swing path. You're just like the intensity ramps up a bit, and you're just see the ball, hit the ball, and do that thing. And there's something about that with him, because he does in pressure situations look like a better hitter. His approach looks better at the plate. So I don't, again, I've said this in the past, like how being able to bottle up that type of situation for him feels like a good thing to start, when you're looking at his mental approach. But he does feel like a different guy when you're in bigger situations later in the game.
Yeah. All right, 3 things I want to touch on from the Tampa series that we haven't already talked about, and you can decide where we start. We've got to talk about Max Fried's no-hitter being lost on an overturned replay or overturned error. We've got to talk about Aaron Judge's fair foul home run, and we got to talk about how somehow you are still alive with Devin Williams not blowing a save.
Okay, let's start there, because I thought I was dead, and we were wrong about that stat.
Yeah,
because
dumb stat, by the way.
Apparently you cannot blow a save if it's not a save situation. I thought that if you came in with a non-save situation, 4-run lead, and you put the runner on, if someone were to come in at that point, does it not become a save situation for the other pitcher?
Yeah, it does.
So then how is it not a blown save for
I don't know.
You as the player who's come in?
Weird.
It's dumb. He should get a blown save, but alas, he does not. So therefore I am still alive. But the fact remains, the man gave up a 4-run lead in the 9th inning to lose the game. It was terrible. It was flashbacks to last year, looking at a guy who just can't, command the zone.
I know the throwing error, but like, dude, this is now the third time he's come in with a 3 or 4 run lead and immediately started throwing balls. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the first thing. What were we up to? The Judge home run was a home run. So, I mean, there's nothing to even dispute about that. It was a home run. Listen to Judge's post-game comments as well.
I know.
He's
pretty angry.
It was a home run.
So here's the thing with that. So it's the mini polls because it's a minor league stadium. And if they did long, big polls, they'd get blown over. There's nothing to tie them to. Okay, fine. Put cameras right down the lines. Just start there. The first replay or the TV angle made it look foul from behind home plate. Then the other replays, which
even the positioning of the cameras for TV are different in that place because
it's a spring training minor league.
I know, but that's my point. Is like you can't rely on that because the lower, even like the main view from behind the pitcher is lower, and Aaron Judge looks like the Jolly Green. He is the Jolly Green Giant, but he looks even more so when he's on second base because he's like, Judge, can you move out of the way? I can't see because the camera angle is so low. So you already have bad camera angles in the first place.
And then the other one seemed to be positioned from like the end of the dugout towards the end of the dugout towards the outfield. That's where the other camera seems to be positioned. And so it's not a true down the line situation. That one obviously made it look fair. Was it fair? Most likely it was fair. The umpire missed it. Boone then gets tossed. Here's the thing though. If Aaron Judge ends the season at 399,
I know.
Like we're going for 400. We're going for 400 here.
Also, the number of home runs. I hate it because that was a home run, and the fact if that comes into play, which it'll come into play. That one hit, that one home run will. And then,
who do we blame? Like, who's the source of this problem? It's Hal Steinbrenner for giving the Rays his stadium.
The fact, even if you don't have cameras that are used for anything else besides home run balls, just put a GoPro down the line. Just put something down the line that has 4K.
Only for the umpires. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. Just so we can understand what the home run ball is. Like that. If if they didn't install those cameras after the game, they got problems. It's not that difficult.
But the craziest thing.
What was the last one?
Was Max Fried's no-hitter. Yes. Being lost 2 innings later because the official scorer decided, oh no, that was an infield single. So it was, I forget the batter, Simpson. Was it Simpson that hit the ball? Super fast. Yeah. Like he's a speedy guy. 100
plus steals in the minor leagues.
He was going to be safe by 5 steps on that ball because Fried was behind him. Fried was not beating him to the bag. So even if Goldschmidt fielded that cleanly, that was going to be an infield single. It was ruled an error on the field because Goldschmidt completely booted it.
Yeah.
If they didn't overturn it in the next 5 minutes, you got to let it lie until Fried gives up a real hit. And I know Fried gave up a real hit, but that was after it got overturned. And I'm sorry, you just have a different type of intensity once that gets overturned.
So here's where I am with this. You're right. If you're not making that call in the moment, you have all the time. You have plenty of time within the next inning. You have another half inning. You have that inning to overturn that call. If you can't see what you need to see to overturn that call, then you're not seeing it. You're not seeing it. But you have to understand what the situation is. The guy's throwing a no-hitter, so you need to make a decision, and you can't be loosey-goosey with that decision. So I agree with you. You either have to make that call or you don't make that call, period. And you just put it in the book. And maybe you're right. If he gives up a hit, then you can reverse it. But again, I don't even agree with that totally. You should just make that call ahead of time, understanding the situation. If you as the fielder or as the rule, the guy who's making that official scorer, thank you, is going to make that call. That's going to be the call you're going to make. And you've changed your mind, but you're already, that you're going to make the call after the game, because that's a lot of times when they do it, you need to make that. You do need to do that, whether you screwed up or not, because if you're going to do it after the game and this guy does pitch a no-hitter and that's the only hit that you're coming back on,
no, you can't do that.
That's a problem too.
So
if you as the official scorer know that you're going to do it, then you have to do it.
You're right. You have a half inning.
The problem is that he didn't do it fast enough.
Because you can't let Fried go take the mound again in the 7th inning. And that's too much. So you have the rest of the bottom of the 6th, and then the top of the 7th. And then once the bottom of the 7th rolls around and Fried's back out there still with a no-hitter, you can't do it.
Which is plenty of time.
This is why I smell a conspiracy. I think the Yankees called up to the official score and be like, we really don't want to have to let Fried throw 115 pitches today. Yeah. Can you just reverse that call so we don't have to make a hard decision?
It's possible. It is their stadium. Possible that they have a bat line up to the official scorer. Randy Levine might have his own bat line up to that booth for all we know. I'm sure there's like secret compartments and hidden walls and all sorts of things in that place that they only know about. So yeah, Randy Levine pops out from the wall. He goes up the back stairwell that nobody knows about. Pulls the candlestick.
You just see
gets in his ear.
You just see his curls.
Gets in the official scorer's ear. I was like, you need to reverse that call because we can't handle him going out there and not being at the top of his game for the next start and possibly risking injury. So yeah, I think that's probably right.
And the reason I say that is
blackmailed into making the call
because no one with an ounce of common sense overturns it in the 8th inning when the guy still has a no-hitter going.
It was so weird. It was so weird how you did that. Yeah.
And hey,
by the way,
I would have liked to see a no-hitter.
To me, when you're doing it, well, in the moment, if you're making that a hit, it's a hit. But I still think it's an error. I'm sorry. The player booted the ball. Yeah. Right then, it's an error. It's an error.
No, I get both. I get both ways. I just feel like the scoring nowadays is a lot more lenient on errors.
But again, like me understanding where that batter is going down the first base line when there's a force play, everybody knows that. Like you're taking a lot of things into consideration, and I know you're looking at the batter and like you're checking the pace and see where he is. But the fact that when Goldschmidt booted that ball, right then and there, done, error. It's an error.
But you agree he was going to be safe.
He was going to be safe, but I don't think that should come into play with the error. Like the boot of the ball was the error.
So some other interesting stuff on Fried. I was looking at his metrics. His fastball run value ranks 99th percentile, which is unbelievable. But what did we say coming in with Fried? His curveball is like next level. That's his best pitch, if anything. Surprisingly, his breaking ball and off-speed run value this year both rank near the bottom of the league. I don't understand it. His expected batting average on curveballs this year is 288. Last year it was 180. His expected batting average on the sweeper this year is 270. Last year it was 137. I just point this out because he's pitching well, so whatever. I just point this out to find it interesting. Like he's not getting the outs the way we thought he was going to get the outs, I guess is the point I'm making.
And repeat the numbers on the fastball again?
Well, his fastball ranks 99th percentile for run value, meaning it's been one of the most valuable fastballs in Major League Baseball this year. Yep. His breaking ball and off speed, which are curveballs, sweepers, and changeups and sliders, rank below like 30%, 30th percentile, both of them.
So here's what that makes me.
That's rare for a guy like Fried.
Well, what that makes me think, and I'd be curious to see what that value is on the fastball in the past. But if you're able to have count leverage, if you're able to have count leverage and work ahead, then again, this goes back to the point with Rodon where he was trying to be too perfect with the secondary stuff. Fried doesn't need to be perfect with this stuff if he's getting ahead and commanding that fastball, and that fastball is going exactly where he wants it. That's the beauty about controlling the fastball early in the count. You can make more mistakes because you're ahead of the batter. You are in the driver's seat at that point. You don't need to be able to. You don't have to be too perfect. So I would expect those numbers to certainly level out more to where his career is as the season goes on. But the fact that he's able to control that fastball and he's up as high as he is with the fastball just leads me to say that he's pitching on a different level than he has been, which is a really good thing because you know that the other pitchers are very, very good. So I think that just makes me like him even more, to be honest.
All right, couple injury news. Stanton took on-field batting practice for the first time this season, said his elbows feel good, but there's still no official word on when he's going to begin rehab. LeMahieu started his rehab assignment with Double-A, and he has 20 days, or there's a 20-day clock before he must be activated. Wait, why does it need to be activated? Is something about like roster management or something?
It's the no, it's the clock when you're coming off of the IL, I think, and
once you start a rehab assignment.
Once you start the rehab assignment.
I mean, they could take him out of the rehab assignment and leave him on the IL, but
I am taking the approach with DJ that I am expecting nothing. So if he gives us anything, that is better than I expected.
Well, okay, fair enough. I don't know what to expect from him either. I don't think anybody does. I think everybody expects him to be, unfortunately, the broken down player that we've seen. But if he's not, if he can do the thing,
don't do it
and go to third base, that puts more pressure on Volpe. It does, because if you have Cabrera, who can play shortstop. I mean, not at the same level, but is the bat there? The bat's better now.
Cabrera's made some errors at third base. I know they're mostly throwing errors, but I don't know. They don't want to put Cabrera at short.
There is more pressure on a guy like that if you're able to get more sustained at bats. What I do expect is to him be on more of a rotation, but we'll see. If DJ, I hope he's healthy, man. I hope he proves everybody wrong, comes in and hits 350. That would be great.
This is not his last year of his contract, right? He's got one more year after this, or is this his last year?
Might have 2 years left. It's got some time on it, man. But he's a right-handed batter who, in theory, can put the ball in play a lot. Okay,
stop it.
And could certainly.
Why not just expect nothing, and then if he hits like 235, you're like, oh, nice.
Because I don't want him to hit 235. That's not who he is.
He's not going to even play enough to have qualified batting average.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm just hopeful. My expectations are not high, but I am also hopeful at the same time.
No.
Because I like the player. I like the dude.
Like the dude. Stanton's bat, if he's healthy, that could be a nice addition. I know
that's a huge addition. That's another right-handed bat that has power. That's going to come in, and hopefully he can hit a fastball.
But where does Ben Rice play?
Somewhere. Maybe he could play third base. You're going to get rotation in again.
We're wrapping up anyway.
We're wrapping up. But I do know the problem now. We'll talk about that off air.
Okay. That's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for watching us live, for commenting, for liking and subscribing, and also for checking out the Game Time app and LinkedIn Jobs if you're so interested. We'll talk to you again next week.
See ya.